When Catherine had refused to eat, it had been Guillermo who fed her and attended to her. Despite Catherine hurling abuse at him, he tried to care for the sick woman himself. Lies, all lies. Keeping up appearances. Then, was it that he has done, Mother? Catherine committed suicide. I was not by his hand that she died. Are you just going to leave it at that? Look at his face and tell me you trust him wholeheartedly. Rosa tried to search for the answer in Guillermo's eyes, but as always, his face betrayed only few emotions. I don't know. Mother was screaming now. He killed her. I'm sure he did. And you're letting him get away with it. Please, my head hurts. And you say you loved her. You never loved her, you selfish child. I've always known you were this selfish. Just like your father. Stop. You throw people away. Didn't you throw me away when I inconvenienced you? Admit it. You were secretly relieved I died. No, stop it. She screamed back at that last voice. Her mouth quivered. Guillermo stared at Rosa in shock. The outburst had accidentally come out aloud. It put a plug that kept the tears from pouring out. Now her vision clouded, and she blinked them away again and again. She was not sobbing. She did not even realize her face was wet. Guillermo and Rosa stared at each other, both kindred in their sorrow. He knelt down by Rosa's bed and wiped her tears with his hand. He did not say anything while doing this, and Rosa stared blankly ahead. It almost stunned her how many tears a person's eyes could carry. I loved her too, Rosa. He said it after a while. I know what you're feeling. She didn't know it was her own, or if Mother's anger was somehow influencing her, but her chest heaved. She balled up her fist so tightly that her fingernails hurt. Shut up. She spat, and the man recoiled at the uncharacteristic bitterness of her words. Catherine was afraid of you in her last days. You did something to her. I know it. She could feel Mother inside her head, boiling up her anger. He has to be punished. You are to blame. He has to atone. I know you're guilty. He must be punished. Guillermo stared at her dumbfounded for a few seconds. But the man didn't try to appease her. He only stepped closer to Rosa and wrapped his arms around the hysterical girl. Let go of me. I hate you, let me go. But Guillermo didn't. If you need something to hate, then I'll accept your hate. But you must accept my comfort too. I need you too right now, Rosa. You are the only one who loved her as much as I did. Guillermo's words brought back Catherine and Rosa's mind. Almost at once, the anger was replaced with a sadness so heavy she couldn't breathe. Why was she so angry again? She was focusing on anger instead of pain. It was easier. The real tears came all for the loss of the girl they both loved. Tomorrow was not going to come. There was only, right now, the loss and two friends mourning a loved one. Rosa cried until she thought she wouldn't be able to stop, and Guillermo quietly held her. Slowly, her weeping began to subdue into sobs, and only then did he speak again. Stay in this chateau, Rosa. I know you are thinking of leaving now that Catherine's gone, but I can't let you wander the streets again. I will take care of you. It's what Catherine would have wanted. Like a spell being broken, these words brought back her anger. How could you possibly know what Catherine wants? She pushed his arms away from her. She's dead. Guillermo's mouth pursed and he stepped away. I want you to go. Please leave me alone. Guillermo sighed and closed his eyes. I understand. He turned on his heels and left without another word. Hours seemed like minutes to her. She would fall asleep and awaken in unfit intervals, too often so often that she had lost the exact time. Awake, she would stare at the part of the wall with no coherent thoughts forming in her mind. One would think morning should be spent in a depressive frenzy. All the reasons to grieve all yours after all. She could wail now if she wanted. She could pull off her hair, curse the skies. She could reminisce the past, admire the frailty of the fragility of human life. Unfortunately, it was something less poetic. Pain was simple, it was clean. It was a well-sharpened knife that sliced through the heart in one stroke. No blood, no mess. Empty. When tears were spent, there was a hole where your heart had been. The hurt called out to you, it lingered. But since there was nothing there anymore, you couldn't find where the pain ended and you began. Rosa slept all night, all day. The sun had got down twice before she shifted from her bed. She stood up slowly, deliberately, with a purpose. My child, you know I hurt when you hurt. Shh, Nico. Already a surge of power flowed within her, fueled by her grief. The power filled her up, and there was so much emptiness inside that the energy seemed to saturate her whole body. Purpose was always a balm for grief. Mother, tell me what to do. Justice, retribution. Fuck, dude. Start with his guilt, child. Uncover his lies, crush his mask. He must pay for everything he has done. Rosa didn't speak. A grudge? Oh god. Rosa didn't speak, but she started to form the words in her mind, feeling them in her bones. Grieving life. Giving life to every thought. Fuck, dude. Justice. Start with his guilt, child. Same fucking bullshit! Then deliver punishment fitting for one so vile. He cannot get away with this. Justice fighter. Okay, that's a lot more better than grudge. Rosa didn't speak, but she started to form the words in her mind, feeling them in her bones, giving life to every thought. She took a small knife and carved a symbol on the floor. It didn't need much, a guilt spell. It didn't aim to punish, it only aimed to inform. She needed to know how much guilt the man carried and the source of such guilt. If the guilt was concrete and came from a direct action, then she would know Guilherme did something to Catherine. It had been a while since she had used magic. It used to be the only way she could protect herself from the world. Mother had taught her, and now Mother guided her as she cast her spell. She needed a possession of the man. Rosa opted for his voice, still fresh from memory. She focused on the last conversation they shared. If you need something to hate, I will take care of you. I need you. His words made Rosa distress and confusion. Always it was this way with him. The feeling wasn't foreign, it had always been there for years. I will always be here for you. Rosa felt a violent force upon her stomach. It was the horrid lurch just before vomiting. You failed. The spell collapsed in her brain. Focus, idiot child. You lose your chance. Chance. Rosa tried again. This time she focused on Guilherme's eyes. Cold, like flints of steel. Dark and fathomless, I don't know what the fuck. No grief except, perhaps, for the situation. No Catherine, no pain of loss. This didn't matter to her, their relationship was done anyway. Where was his guilt? Rosa dug deeper, she increased the chanting on her lips. No torment, no uncertainty, no guilt. Did the spell fail again? She searched one more and found nothing. There was no guilt in Guilherme's eyes. She could stop the spell now, knowing that he was innocent. If the spell had worked, then Guilherme was blameless. But the absence was most distressing. Rosa desperately pushed her mind further, almost wishing there were traces hiding her beyond her reach. Guilt should be present in any loss, no matter how little. Don't we blame ourselves for our own loss? Don't we hate ourselves and punish ourselves even if it wasn't our fault? I didn't have to be real, but we need guilt to feel pain. But Guillermo didn't have a sliver of guilt. The vicious pain took hold of her again, squeezing her stomach with murderous intent. The pain was so great, Rosa wasn't sure if the spell had failed or succeeded. Something is wrong. Before Rosa could agree with Mother, she felt a sharp pain in her throat. Rosa clutched her neck, scraping, scratching. A sharp jagged lump was blocking her breathing. She could feel its edges crawl up her windpipe, tearing the soft walls as it moved around. The pain did not stop. Rosa fell to her knees and gagged. She thrashed about like a woman being strangled. Mother remained calm, unaffected by Rosa's distress. Rosa was about to expel whatever it was. Tears ran down her face. The horrible acidic taste coated her tongue. Finally, she opened her mouth and forced the vile thing out. She kept her eyes shut, afraid to look at whatever had come out of her. But the choking feeling gripped her, and she kept puking again. She spat after she vomited. Her spit felt heavy and thick in her mouth. It gathered around her knees and growing pool. Rosa panted. Every breath was laced with pain. But the gruesome effect had finally stopped. She wiped the sweat off her forehead. Something on the floor reflected light. She struggled to comprehend what was in front of her. She reached out with her hand, and the prick of something sharp made her recoil. She tried again, this time seeing more clearly. Rosa picked them up with shaking hands. Needles. In her palms were a handful of long, metal needles. Rosa examined them with a horrified kind of curiosity. She stuck one on her thumb and drew blood. They were real. They had materialized in her throat while casting the spell on Guillermo. Rosa wiped her mouth. There was something wrong with him.